Hi, I'm Jan Helfeld, and I'm going to give you my analysis of the vice presidential debate. Again, we saw a joint press conference controlled by a journalist, and that's one of the problems of these debates. Let's focus on the process and the rules. Here we have a debate which you're not supposed to interrupt the other person, but you had Vice President Biden constantly interrupting Ryan. Did the moderator prevent him from doing that or admonish him? No. Ryan objected, and it was to no avail. Biden continued to interrupt him. The people that analyzed the debate at the end said, oh, that she did a great job. Well, of course, they favor Biden, and so they think it's great for him to interrupt Ryan. Now, I want you to think about this for one moment. What would happen, or what would you do? Because I was thinking about that myself. What would I do if the other guy was constantly interrupting me, and I mentioned it, I objected to it, and nothing happened? Well, I think that the only thing you could do in that circumstance is tell the moderator, look, either you get him to stop interrupting me, or I'll start to interrupt him as well, and you'll have a shouting match here, and everybody will be interrupting everybody constantly, and nobody will be able to understand anything. That's what happens when two people interrupt each other. And the only reason why we didn't get that is because Ryan is a polite guy, and he decided to just follow the rules and continue the lead of the moderator and always ask for her permission. Can I continue to talk? Can I do this or the other? Biden felt no such compulsion, and that gives you a lot of insight into his character. The other thing that gives you insight into his character is the insults. 2 minutes into the interview, he's already interrupting the other guy and saying that what the other guy says is malarkey. And later he said that again, and he said that Romney's comments were slipshod. This use of insults cannot be accepted in a debate and has to be admonished by the moderator. You can't accept that. So that's another flaw in this debate. And the time, as usual, Biden got more time. He complained that he wasn't getting enough time, but he had actually more time than Ryan. And so there's some basic mistakes here, some basic flaws in the process. And what it really reflects is that Biden had no respect for his opponent. And I want to talk about that a little bit later. The second thing that's important to observe is that neither candidate explicitly told you what his principle was in foreign policy. For example, when he thought that the other guy, when he thought that we as a country should use military force to invade another country or to attack another country. That's the key issue in foreign policy. Now, it's interesting. The moderator asked Ryan for his criteria, and he gave this nebulous answer, you know, national interest, security interest, which really doesn't mean anything in particular. And she asked about humanitarian goals. He didn't really answer that clearly. But guess what? Did she ask Biden for his principle? Oh, no. Not a really fundamental question for Biden. No, not at all. Here you see more bias again. So in domestic policy, what are the fundamentals? Well, are you in favor of redistribution of wealth? Obviously, apparently, both of them are. And apparently, Ryan is in favor of less redistribution. So what is his principle for determining what is the appropriate amount of redistribution, when it's right, when it's wrong? We never got that. All that we got from Biden is that he would probably do more redistribution than Ryan. And they went back and forth, making really no sense on this because they were on either side of more or less redistribution. So we didn't get a principle on this issue either. So as far as foreign policy, I'd like to mention one thing that I would like to cover, which I think was revealing, which is the whole Benghazi Gate issue. In this question, you know, it's clear that the Obama administration did not take the proper precautions, even though there was a lot of reason to go ahead and give a boosted up security because there had been threats, etc. They totally failed on that. But worse, they also failed in admitting the truth, and they tried to make a cover-up. about what actually happened. And what Biden said that they did not know was a lie. It was an outright lie, because we know that they had received real-time reports from the consulate there in Benghazi that they were being attacked with rocket launchers. And this is not a spontaneous demonstration when people come armed with military equipment. So they knew, but they tried to give it a different spin, and they were caught. And instead of admitting it, Biden continued with the lie that he didn't know, and that's why they didn't tell the truth about what was going on. But it's up to the moderator, or at least give the other guy, Ryan, a chance to prove that really what's happening is that there's a scandal, that he's covering it up, but that didn't happen. So if the moderator should do something, it should be that, or at least give the opponent a chance to explain why the other guy is lying. Now, finally, when I interviewed Vice President Biden many years ago, he was a different man. And that's what I want to talk about for a second. The thing that Washington does to a man's character, why was he a different man? Well, if you are in the business of constantly violating other people's rights, not respecting them, running roughshod over them, forcing your judgment on people that haven't violated anybody's rights, either forcefully taking their money and deciding how to spend it, sending them to other countries to fight wars that have nothing to do with defending the country, the United States, telling them what they can ingest, what kind of drugs or medicine they can take, etc. If you're in this business of constantly running roughshod over other people, not respecting their judgment, it has a bad effect on your character. And that's what happened to Biden, in my view. His character was corrupted. And this happens to almost all these politicians that go to Washington. That's the explanation. Good men with good intentions are sent to Washington, but the system corrupts them. It corrupts them because of the nature of the business they're in. They're in the business of forcing other people to act against their judgment, even though they haven't violated anybody's rights. So the conclusion here is, what we need is a limited government where our politicians are not corrupted, and we need real debates where the opponents interrogate each other, and it's not filtered through a journalist who, of course, is biased in one way or the other. Thank you.